Well, hello everyone and welcome. Let me just move my camera here. Welcome to HoGaLeSh Global Astrology. Know your planets, know yourself, or know your nation, know yourself. The two are interchangeable. And of course, we have another HoGaLeSh here for you. And as usual, there is so much to discuss. But before we get into it, I want to introduce our panel, of course, our adored panel. So I have to point this way. Am I pointing the right way now? Yes. Okay. So Lady G, on my camera, it looks like I'm just pointing into outer space. But anyway, Lady G, of course, is over here. That means I have to do this here for Sheila. Yeah. And then, of course, Lena's really easy. Down under. Down under.
Down under. And we're going into winter.
Oh, yes. Yes, and sorry to rub it, Elena. We are going into glorious spring and summer here. I have been sunbathing, so when I eventually do get my legs out at some point this year, they actually match the color of my face, which has been an issue in the past. So there is that, and but ladies, folks, so much to discuss. So before we start the show, I just want to give you guys a heads up. I went to a special event this evening. Yeah. And you know how the timing works sometimes. You know, you can't make this stuff up. Anyways, so we pre-booked this months ago, and this was before we were on Wednesdays. And today I went to a Guardian panel debate in person in Conway Hall, which was about Trump's first 100 days.
Wow.
Fascinating. It was a panel of 4. I've actually made a video about it. I took some footage from it, and that's up on membership now. So those of you that are members, you can see that video there. I might release it to the public. I'm not sure yet, but I wanted to give that to my members. But it was very, very interesting, and I'll let you know more of my thoughts on that. Please remind me to do so. But there is a lot of debate, a lot of discussion, and of course today's focus, before we get into the show, I wanted to ask you ladies individually how you feel about Trump's first 100 days, and goodness forbid if there will be another 100 days of this. So Lady G, starting with you, how do you feel about Trump's first 100 days?
Oh my God. There are no words. I mean, it's just devastating what he's doing. And another 100 days, I'm feeling him leaving in October.
Oh, good.
Oh, interesting. Sheila, how do you feel about Trump's first 100 days thus far?
Well, I think he should never have had it, for one. I think he didn't deserve no extra 100 days. Here in Colorado, everybody's been kind of focused on his polls, and 39% disapproval and 55% or vice versa, 39% approval and 55% disapproval. And within the last 80 years, he's the first president who has ever gotten this bad of an approval. And who is in second place? Well, of course, him too. So, he's now first place and second place of the worst 100 days of any president ever. I don't know. At least I am young enough to outlive him. That's the only consolation I'm having today.
Well, bless you.
Indeed. Anna, Lena, your thoughts on the first one?
Well, we've only got an hour, So, but who would start 192 trade wars, right? As an Australian economist pointed out, everyone else only has one trade war to deal with, the US. He's got 192. The stats aren't good.
Yeah, it's just extraordinary. And for me, on the first 100 days, as you know, with the astrology, I've been looking at this, anticipating, of course, this stuff. I've talked ad nauseum about the rude awakening And then, of course, once I read the chart for the inauguration day, I was like, when I saw that chart, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be absolutely, you know what, batshit crazy. And I think for me with the, yes, I did anticipate a lot of this stuff, but I think what has stunned me has been not only the undiluted douchebaggery of it all, the fact that the cruelty of it all, the fact that the incompetence is only just bigger than the cruelty, and the extraordinary speed. I thought we would be here in about 18 months an hour, maybe coming up to the midterms. Oh my goodness, it is just been completely extraordinary, and it is that whole flooding the zone kind of thing, and that is what Trump unfortunately is very good at. His gift is grift, but he knows how to just keep himself in the news every day. And this malignant narcissist is it's just extraordinary and overwhelming. So that's
well, Rita in the comments says about that being in the news all the time. It's like somebody playing with a squeaky toy. Yeah, you know, it's like it's jarring and constant.
Screaming goat.
That's how we feel every single day with him doing that. I also want to, I don't know if you're going to mention this, but also Canada, they won their the Liberal race. That was fantastic. I just wanted to shout out and go Canada.
Yeah. And indeed, their voting turnout was, I'm reading here, 68%, which is very high.
That's very good. And Poilievre, whatever his name is, that he lost his seat. Wow, he actually lost his seat. And one thing they did talk about on the Guardian panel, which was a very good point, and they had an American panelist on there as well, who lives in London, is now going back to Chicago. But she said, well, and they were looking at what were the positives of Trump's presidency in terms of like basically uniting the world, etc. I mean, there was a big gas of laughter that went round, but she said, well, what he's been able to do for the Liberals in Canada has been extraordinary, because until he opened his gums, you know, Poilievre, is it Poilievre? Poilievre? Yeah. He was essentially winning, and he managed to reverse that whole kind of like movement. And now, of course, we have Mark Carney in. So he is uniting the world in many ways, but in ways that people didn't expect. And let's just hope that unity ultimately leads to salvation. We'll have to see. Let's get some.
Well, he gambled on the illusion that the United States was a powerhouse. I'm not saying the United States isn't a powerhouse, but they're not as powerful as they keep on telling us that we are. And that was the one thing was eye-opening to me. I mean, we're just a pebble on the beach, just like everybody else is at this point in time. He's leveled up everybody. And I thought that was interesting, that we are getting an eye-opening understanding that we need them just as much as they need us. And we were coming to an awakening on the partnerships. I just think that was just, he leveled everybody up.
Right.
And we've got an election here in Australia on Saturday in 3 days' time. So I'm hoping the ripple effect, like Canada, will kick in, please. Because otherwise we get left with Voldemort.
Indeed. And that is a big part of that reality check that I've been talking about, because it's not just for America, it's for the whole world. The whole world is going through an awakening where we are seeing explicitly what the consequences of rampant popularism is. And in a way that is a service to the world as well, because people realizing this stuff doesn't work. Let me just quickly do some thank yous, and then we'll start the show. So someone here says, Pam says, HoGaLeSh, you must be a true night owl. Midnight in the UK. Yes, Indeed. Sherry says, first 100 days, evil personified. Indeed. Thank you so much, Kathleen, for your donation. Yay, 47 for uniting the world and creating new political alliances. This is true. This is true. And then Cindy saying he hates to be compared to Hoover. We need to start comparing him to Hoover. And then thank you as well, Linda. Here's to the first president to lose a Canadian election action. I'm not sure if I don't understand. I don't think I understood that properly, but I think they're basically saying he unwittingly helped the Liberals win in Canada. Shall we go to question number 1? And we're going to do 1 card pulls and freestyle a bit. I've got all the questions here, but I didn't have as much time today. So shall we get started? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So this is coming from Manuela Orchid. So she says, hello, Hoagie ladies. My question today would be, if you could check with the cards what the power outage was in Spain and Portugal, causing great mystery there. And she says, really, sun flares? Possibility. Britain had shortly before some outages, not that big, but I read in a few parts. Thank you. Apparently, they have ruled out state interference, apparently, but it still seems to be a mystery. So if you ladies have any feedback on that, that would be great. But let's do a 1 card pull on it.
Okay.
And of course, if any of us get the sun card, then we know that it may have been the sun.
Yeah. Oh, what happened? Spain and Portugal.
Spain and Portugal. 1 card pull. 1 card pull. Gosh, what times we live in, man. Oh, God. Yes, the dog agrees. All right, after 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, dropped it. Oh,
interesting. All right, Lena, how do you interpret your card?
Well, I think we won't know for quite a while with this moon card. You know, I think the mystery remains.
Indeed. Sheila?
Well, this is the 4 of Wands. The 4 of Wands is people working together. So a collaboration of some sort. So I don't know if, you know, what they, you know, it kind of makes me think, and this is just the first thought that came to my mind, you know, how in laboratories, they're doing an experience and all of a sudden somebody throws a switch. They're like, oh, why did you do that? That's kind of how it feels. Like a collaboration, an experiment of some sort happening, and they kind of like flip the switch to see what happened.
Ooh, interesting. Lady G, how do you interpret your card?
Well, I have a tower, so I would say some sort of a manufactured electrical interference that caused it to go down.
Ooh, very interesting. And my card here, I've got the King of Wands. And as you know, I associate Wands with entrepreneurship, particularly the King of Wands. So this can talk about business and stuff like that. So, it's a tricky one for me. I mean, the Sun card hasn't shown up. My instinct is that maybe it's because I'm an astrologer, I'm thinking sun flares and of course Uranus, still on the star Algol. Uranus is the planet of electricity, and
sudden stuff.
And sudden shocks and surprises, and the star Algol is Medusa, things being cut off. So for me, I'm always going to be like, I think it was a Uranian kind of thing. But maybe there was something there. Maybe there was an experiment with the moon, with, you know, Lena's card, with Sheila's card, and Lady G's card, the tower, and then business coming up here. Could it have been an experiment? Oh, it'd be a very dark one, wouldn't it? Ooh, murky. So we have to look at the cards together. So interesting, that one there. Wow. All right. Are we ready for the next question?
Yeah.
Oh, and someone said here before we go to the next question. So Lorraine said it, written in big capital. She says, Please, can we start the evening with America's Superman, she says, Terry Moran. Now, I didn't see this interview, but she said, he had me on my feet cheering him on. He is the light, the picture of true integrity. He's my hero. Terry did the damn thing. Terry didn't rain on the maggot parade. He pissed in the damn punch bowl. So I think she's talking about...
I love that metaphor.
So I had to have a Google, and apparently was interviewed by this guy, Terry Moran. I can't remember the news channel. Maybe 1 second. Actually, I've got the thing.
I think it's ABC or something.
ABC. Yeah, I'm just looking up the.
Who is he?
I'll show you here. Indulge me while I do a quick share screen, just so we can see who we're talking about here. Let's do share. So this is, I don't know about Deadline, but this is one of the first things that came up. The Views, Anna Navarro praises ABC News Terry Moran after Donald Trump interview, saying he gave a masterclass in journalism. So this is him here. Yeah. And apparently he gave a lot of pushback to Trump as Trump was spewing out and lying. And apparently, so you said here, I urge you to watch the interview, full of unhinged inaccuracies, exaggerations, and downright lies. But Terry fact-checked him on the spot time after time. So let me just stop.
He'll lose his license. Now I know who he is. I remember seeing him in the press pack. I don't think he'll be back.
Trump threatened him in the interview.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we picked you. We wanted to give you a great opportunity. You're not doing so good. Like, it was like that. I mean, he literally, without going, he just did. He threatened them. Like, you're going to go down now, kind of an attitude towards him.
Oh. Wow. Okay. Well, at least,
the biggest one. The biggest one was talking about the tattoos.
Wow.
The tattoo picture where it was a Photoshop where he said the MS-13 on it. And Donald Trump literally said, thinking that Photoshop with those letters were, that it was on his hand instead of just the other tattoos where they were interpreting something. And Trump doubled down on it and just flat out like, no, that's what he said. Let me show you the picture. That's what was on there. And the guy's like, no, that was Photoshop. And Trump argued back, no, it wasn't Photoshop. I'm like, yeah, it was. I mean, it's amazing. It's like crazy.
Wow.
So anyways, a little more information.
So we'll have to see. Indeed. So we'll have to see. So I'll have to I'll have to find that interview somewhere and maybe link it in the description. Let me just put here, link in video description, link in video description. Right.
I mean,
okay.
All he
so
did was, correct him on the spot, and that's become the vanguard of journalism. I mean, that's how far the rest have gone, that just a journalist doing their most fundamental function becomes,
Indeed. Indeed. Well, with the way things are going, obviously that's becoming ever a riskier kind of thing now, isn't it? So let's go on to question number 2. And this is coming from Cheryl Renee. And she says, love and light to you, Hoagie, and your sumptuous sirens of sorcery. She comes out with the most wonderful compliments.
Made my day.
Oh, indeed. And she says many psychics are seeing a health crisis similar to a pandemic in the US. Could this be due to closing the USDA, which regulates the safety of meat, poultry, and egg products? What do the cards say? So let's do a 1 card pull on that. Let's put here,
Sorry, just read it again for me.
Sure. So she said, many psychics are seeing a health crisis similar to a pandemic in the US. Could this be due to closing the USDA, which regulates the safety of meat, poultry, and egg products? What do the cards say? So, it's being put out there. Let's just have a look.
Yes.
1 card pull. Let's have a look. What I will say again from the astrological perspective, but in Vedic astrology, pandemics are associated with the nodes of the moon. And when Rahu and Ketu are in sidereal Gemini and Sagittarius, which they were over COVID. Neptune can do it as well. But anyway, after 3, 1, 2, 3.
Oh.
All right, Lena, how do you interpret your card?
Well, there'll be a lot of confusion about what the answer is yes in my mind to the question. There will be an outbreak probably of measles. We've already got TB coming back, COVID.
Wow.
So it's a yes to that, but there'll be confusion as to why and delusion as to why, because the lies will be trundled out on an hourly basis, you know.
Yep.
So yeah.
Sheila, how do you interpret your card?
Well, first I want to tell everybody I'm using What's the Vibe, because they'll ask in the thing what cards are you using. But this one right here it's like it says intimacy. It's like we're going to start feeling the loss again. We're gonna have to get together again. We are, you know, that closeness again that we had during COVID, where everybody's stuck in the house and things like that. It just feels, that's kind of what it feels like. It's like that loss, that carrying, that, oh my gosh, again, you know, we're losing people again.
All right. Lady G, how do you interpret your card?
Well, I got the 10 of coins. And, you know, that's my card for the Republic Uglies. And we know who's the head of the, you know, all of these things now. So I would say yes, we're going to have that difficulty again, because they're all about the monetary thing and not about the safety anymore.
Yeah. And my card here, I'm interpreting this as, here we've got the Knight of Cups here, which of course can talk about, you know, the messaging, you know, the false knight can be the shadow interpretation of this. So my thing is, if there was some kind of a breakout or a pandemic, they would sugarcoat it. They're not going to be honest about it. And I think they will use propaganda to kind of disguise it. So even if there really was a big problem, as we see this administration struggle, or this regime struggles with reality anyway. So even if half the country got measles, they're going to be saying, everything's fine. This is fake news. So, yeah.
And I had a thought with Sheila's card too. Intimacy, meaning things can be passed on. At close quarters.
Yes, absolutely. We won't. That intimacy, like that's how it's going to be spread. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, maybe a contact thing. Wow, fascinating. One thing I wanted to mention before I forget, someone sent to me a brilliant video, and I'm going to link it in the video description. I'm about halfway through, but it's the study again of Machiavelli. You know, I like to talk about him from time to time, but he talks about why incompetence rises to power, why stupidity rises to power, and why narcissism is a trait that makes people advance to power and stuff like that. Fascinating. I'm going to have to do I might do a special show on my reflection show, because it really, this video deserves a lot more circulation. Absolutely brilliant. All right. So ladies, are we ready for the next question?
Yes.
All right. So this is coming from Nick Minks. I'll put down here one card, Paul. So throwing it in, she says, the flumpster came out, the flumpster came out yesterday and said he would like to be Pope. Oh my God, this man.
Yeah.
And he says he'd like to be Pope. And she says, yes, that role where you're celibate and religious. Yeah. Now that's not going to happen, but has he tried to sway the Conclave? An American cardinal is in the talks, and he's one of the front runners, as we read on last week. So would others be influenced to vote for a political choice? So basically, could Trump influence the conclave and try and get the American cardinal to become Pope? What do you reckon? One card pull or full card pull on that?
Yeah, one, I think.
One? Yeah. All right. We'll do one card pull on that. On this one, I'll put a full card on this one. All right. So will Duck L'Orange try to influence the conclave? Well, we know there's a lot of that Opus Dei lot, isn't there? So they certainly have a vested interest.
Yeah, but they're Catholic and Trump isn't and doesn't give a thought to it.
They don't even like American people. You know?
No.
Yeah.
Especially our American president.
Yeah. But if because I know a lot of them, like Heritage Foundation and all that kind of stuff, they are into that very Opus Dei thing. So maybe they might get more control. Oh, we'll have to see. Let's see.
Yeah, Lena and I are on the same
wavelength.
Oh, yeah. We're both using these. It'll be fabulous to see what we've got.
Oh, right. Lovely. All right. After 3. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, these are some very interesting cards. So, Lena, how do you interpret your card?
Odd man out. Meaning he's in the conclave going, vote for me, vote for me. And everyone else is going, where's the coffee? I don't think so, Pip.
Wow, we'll have to see. Yeah, odd man out. That's very pertinent, isn't it? Sheila, how do you interpret your card?
I got the Magician. Now, the Magician on like power, this, that, and that, but buddied up with everybody else's cards, he's gonna be pulling a rabbit out of the hat. You know, he's gonna try. He's gonna like that fake illusion as usual. That fake illusion as usual. I don't see it.
Lady G, how do you interpret your card?
Well, I have crossfire. As you can see, they're all looking at what's going on. The one guy's looking up, oh God, please. So I would say, yeah, no.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? And my card here, well, I get the death card. So I think the way I'm interpreting this, I think this is talking about the Catholic Church in general. I think this is a complete root and branch transformation. I don't think it's going to be ever the same again after Pope Francis passing. So this says to me an end of an era. And of course, the fact that this card is one of the cards that has a Pope literally on it. So I think whoever comes in, whoever is elected in conclave is going to make a huge impact, and it could take the Catholic Church in a completely different direction. Will it be a rebirth? Yeah. Will the sun rise between the pillars, or does this mean it's a permanent decline? I'm not sure, but I think this is probably going to historically may turn out to be a very consequential conclave, and I think it could be a surprise who gets in. It might be a surprise. You never know. Maybe the American would do it, or maybe we might get a black pope. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Wow.
All
right.
Will be
Are we
very
ready for
conservative, I think, and take the church backwards. You know, that's my view.
Yeah, indeed. I hope it. I hope it doesn't plan out that way. Where was that? I've got to cross off that one now. Where was it? Where was I reading that part? Oh, here we are. Got to cross that through here. All right. So this is one more pertaining to America. A very simple and straightforward question, but I think it will be worth one of our full card pulls tonight. And I just want to say hello to everyone as well. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. We've got over 2,000 of you with us here right now. So we really appreciate the support and joining us here on Wednesdays. We know it's not your favorite Saturday, but you know, needs must, Leader and I, you know, with the days of the week. But much appreciated. And of course, be sure to like and subscribe and share so this show can reach a wider audience. All right.
Sorry, I've just got to share this comment. You know how when they elect a pope, they send up the white smoke and everyone waits for the white smoke. And Rose Blue says a brewery will send up smoke on a new Secretary of Defense.
Wow. I mean, that's going to be interesting, isn't it? That's going to be interesting.
Clever. Thank you, Rose Blue.
Indeed. Thank you. Thank you too as well to Teresa Spriggs. Much appreciated. Someone here saying, Windhorse says, congratulations, Canada. Indeed. Yeah. And then Rosemary says, remember tech stop to opt out of receiving secret war plans. Oh, I'm not sure what that means. But anyway, thank you for the donation. And thank you to Joanne Marie. And what's this here? A brewery will send up smoke in the news. There we are, Rose Blue. Thanks so much. All right. So question number 4 from, how do I say that? Flornica. Yes. What will happen to federal workers? Will they be helped by anyone? And this is a full card pull because this is very relevant. And I want to see, talented ladies, what comes up in your cards.
So what happens in the American Social Security system? Can you guys just tell me quickly in terms of, so you're terminated. Can you access Social Security immediately? Or not?
What do you mean?
With any of these federal workers, can they apply for Social Security?
After they have been removed or taken out?
Yeah.
Is that what?
Just generally, as American workers, what happens when you get the sack?
You have to be 65 though to get Social Security. You have to be 65 or over.
You are no, truly.
Yeah, there's an age limit because if you do it earlier, you lose a lot of money. I mean, the longer you last, that's where a lot of people are doing 65 to 70 before they even apply for Social Security.
Sorry, but I mean, you're 36, you're a federal worker and you've just been fired. You mean you can't go on Social Security?
No, it's called unemployment, which only pays like a third of what they were making. Unemployment is probably
unemployment. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. They can apply for that, and they may or may not get it. But it depends on what their decision is, because the unemployment it takes everything, including a blood sample, just to see if you're who you are, and they determine if you're going to get it. Now, if they say no because you were like fired for because if they say is because of lack of whatever their excuse is, the reason why you got fired, you might have to fight it. So these people could go without a paycheck literally for months, just trying to get unemployment. Now, if they make it easy on them and say, yeah, you can have it, but it's only like a third. I mean, it's nothing to live on here.
Right.
And
well, it's the same here too. It's very, very low. Yeah, but
they're very low. Now, what they'll probably be able to do is get a pension if they offer that, and they, what if they fire?
No, I'm talking about a young person who's just been snapped off here.
Yeah, unemployment is their only option or another job.
Yeah, it's quite brutal. So who's ready to go first on the question from Flornica? What will happen to federal workers? Will they be helped by anyone? Full card pull.
Okay, I can go if you like, her.
Go for it.
The central card is the Three of Swords. Now, conventionally, this is read as the broken heart scenario, and I'm sure there's a lot of that going on. But it can also be the card of miscommunication. And I think it's both those things. The obstacle card is the card of nostalgia. Why people become federal workers in any country is job security. Right? That's what you're buying into, and that's what has been snapped away from them. There's a lot of secrecy around their mass firings, right, with this Hermit card. Now, I've got 2 Knights coming up, which represents a bit of movement for them, in the sense of Knight of Pentacles is the slow and steady Knight. So that would be the trickle until they get new jobs, and it's not a good climate for getting work. Everything's contracting. So this is slow. Then there's more energy in my outcome card, which is the Knight of Wands. So I think that represents maybe class actions, depending on the department, whether it's just the Department of Housing workers or aviation workers or whatever. I think we'll see more movement going forward after the initial shock of people. So,
Wow.
That's me.
All right. Sheila, how do you interpret your cards?
Well, my first card up was diplomacy, and I thought that was really interesting with the king. Is it the knight? The King of Cups, diplomacy, and marriage. That means when they got hired, what they have in their contract, how they got hired. There is something in that will give them, like the Ace of Swords, clarity, the strength of adversity, and they're going to. And this is a word that I wanted to set, kind of strangulation. They're going to really get them in court. It's almost like a huge, huge win. So I also get the Ace of Cups. I have 2 aces on their side. And they have an Ace of Cups of the road that they have to take. Like they really, it's almost like they're all of them sitting there, do it. Do it. Right? Because then I get the 3 of Wands. They get help. They get assistance. They are seeing the big picture. And then I have their intuition. Like I said, they're kind of sitting there going, it's like we see it as like something else, but they're all going, do it. Because they know that they're going to win something. They know that they're going to go after something. They know that they have an upper hand somehow. I didn't know this. I've never been a civil worker, but they're like, do it. I know what that's about.
Oh. Lady G, how do you interpret your cards?
Well, the deeper knowledge with this is it's affecting the whole of their world, what's going on with them. And when we look at the dark knowledge, get the wisdom about it. And in this case, I don't think this is a White House. I think this is the stability of their home lives, what's going on. Because the direction with this is the struggle. You know, they get knocked down, they get up, they keep going forward, keep pushing. The challenge is the promises of defending this. And the potential outcome is short-term success when it comes to them reinstating things.
So maybe some are fired and maybe some are brought back. There could be an element there.
Well, it says in the comments here, the courts have ruled most of the federal workers must be rehired. So that would be the short-term win.
Yeah.
What will happen then, of course, is they won't be, because the system is so chaotic under Trump, which gives them, they might get compensation down the track and stuff because they won't be necessarily.
Yeah, could potentially. And with just to make sure you have finished your read, Lady G. Yeah, just checking that I'm not cutting you off. Right. Yeah, it's. I think my cards are pointing to that complexity. So I've pulled 5 cards, and 2 of them are major arcana, and they're really quite interesting. Which major arcana came out and where they have fallen, and I think it's quite a mixed bag here. So in terms of just the question again, it's where is it? Question number 4: what will happen to federal workers? Will they be helped by anyone? So if we look here. We have the Magician card here. Now, as you know, as you guys know, I do associate the Magician card with the shadow aspects of Elon Musk. Yeah. So Yeah, so there he is right there. And so they've had this maverick kind of come in who's basically, because this is a very, very powerful card, but it can also be a very powerful card of manipulation and control. So in this context, I feel like in many ways they do not feel like they've been in control, because this magician has basically come in, waved his magic wand, got all of his douchebags, his flying monkeys in, and just turned their lives upside down. However, this would also suggest as well that they do feel like they have some power within them as well, because apparently federal workers are very, very well qualified people. I was watching on independent media. A lot of them can upgrade, have taken on more responsibilities and roles. So I think they are more powerful than maybe Doge has appreciated. I think they do have things up their sleeve. However, if we look in the obstacle position, look, we've got the Two of Swords here. Many of them are not sure what to do. Of course, there were quite a few that took the bait. I don't know if they were paid, but do you remember when Doge first came in, they offered these big payouts to people. And apparently a lot of people did take the money. But I think it was an agonizing choice for many. And of course, if you have lost your job, it's quite obvious this card is like, they're not sure what to do. Yeah, the blindfold is on. So it's like, well, am I leaving? Am I going to be called back? When we look here in the middle, we do get the Empress card, which of course is normally a very positive card. I don't think it's talking about Russia in this instance, even though I associate with that. I think this is talking about some people that will get their jobs back. So even though they've been cut, a lot of them having to be re-employed, and they've been having to be paid compensation. So this is why they're saying this is the biggest faceplant of this Doge scheme, because so many of the people they've sacked, they've had to bring back, and they've had to give them extra. So that shows some of them will get extra if they're called back. However, I think a lot of the workers as well are not going to be liking the options that are on the table, because they've really been thrown for a loop, and they're probably not sure which way to turn. Or maybe I think a lot of them are going to be thinking left field, and they might have to take the more random option for those reasons that Sheila identified, not getting basically dole payments, as we would say here in UK and Australia. They're not getting financial support. And if they do, it's going to be much less. And if they've been sacked, then you're not actually entitled to it. So some of them have got some difficult choices. And then my outcome card here is, look, it's the Eight of Swords. So feeling like a hostage to fortune. And really, it's because of the actions, this maverick Elon coming in. And I think that really was the goal. I think this is actually talking symbolically about what Project 2025 wants to do to the government anyway, which is to hamstring, to cause fear, restrict, tie up. So much of this is about bunging up the works, and it dovetails nicely into the next question as well. So anything to add to that, ladies, before we move on?
Yes, in the comments, Jill Dalton said the Supreme Court has paused the ruling that said they have to be rehired. And that's why there's these contradictory cards.
Right. That would make sense, wouldn't it? And like with that magician as well, it's great when you are in the position of the magician, but if the magician is against you, you can feel very powerless, because it's a very powerful card, and there's no real justice with the magician. He just waves his wand, and whatever happens is whatever happens. So, and I guess with that Eight of Swords, that hostage to fortune, and these mixed cards that all of us have been getting, it's a tough one, isn't it? It's a tough one. All right, so this is a one card pull coming up, but it's a very bold and simple question. And this is coming from Angel Wings, and it's very simple. She says, or I assume it's a she, will our Social Security come through in May? Matt?
Sorry, what's that? Is there a one-off payment that's been promised or something?
So what is Social Security is, so basically when you reach the rate, correct me if I'm wrong, folks, in the comments, but when you reach the age of 65 and over, you can claim Social Security, which is something that every American worker has been paying into since they've had a job. It just automatically deducted from the paycheck. And then you are basically, when you reach that age, you are supposed to basically get that back. It's kind of like America's answer to the state pension. But because Doge has been fiddling about and messing around with Social Security so much, messing up the website, you no longer able to ring them up. The website has been crashing. People are wondering, will they get their Social Security payments in May?
I see.
Yeah.
But why May?
Meaning the next month. People got it in April. Will they get it the next month?
Yeah, because for the first time, like last time in April, some of the payments were late for the very first time in the history of Social Security, because it's been dicked around with so much. So of course they're asking, like,
Well, the question I'm asking is because already the Social Security has dropped in everybody's account by now.
For April.
For May.
April, yeah.
For May.
For May.
It's not May yet. When do you get it?
So today's the last day. The reason why is because my daughter is on Social Security because she's special needs, and she's already the money has already dropped. I mean, it won't post until tomorrow, but it has already dropped. So that's why I was like,
that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably positive, isn't it? So maybe let's rephrase it then a little bit. Let's just look at what is the energy around Social Security going forward. Will it still be secure? Yeah, let's ask that. Will Social Security remain?
That's a better
secure?
question, I think. How constant, or how is there any rifts or any any disturbances in the
Indeed.
There we go. Yeah,
Will Social Security remain secure? One card pull, and let's see what comes up. We need to do a bit of Shakespeare, don't we, at some point? But we've not had many individuals to talk about. Let's see, Social Security. Will it remain secure? And thank you for joining us, folks. There are 2,342 of you here with us so far.
Oh, right. Everyone gets paid at a different point in the month, depending on your birthday. Okay.
Ah, there we are. All right. So after 3, 1, 2, 3. Wow. Lena, how do you interpret your card?
Well, I'm pleased it's a pentacle card. You know, so this would suggest to me, for now, yes, but people are talking about it. I think they'd be working away at whatever Doge is behind the scenes. How can we cut and eliminate? But at this point, I'd say yes for now.
All right, Sheila, how do you interpret your card?
I got the Queen of Pentacles, motherly, taking care of everything. Yep. You know, this is, the financial responsibility of everybody who is on it. So I say, it's going to be stable.
Lady G, how do you interpret your card?
Well, there are those that are working hard to defend it too. Stand guard.
Yes.
But
Yeah. And here I've got the Queen of Swords, which, I associate the King and Queen of Swords in particular with accountancy and stuff like that. But I am a little bit worried, though, because this sword is also sharp. So there may still be kind of a few sharks around there that might be trying to cut things. However, I think there will also be that political recognition as well of, if they were to cut Social Security or interfere with that, it would be absolutely volcanic. And I think any last stitch of restraint within the American public would just vanish. So I still get the sense there are people still sniffing around. They might be giving it a go, but so far it seems to hold. But for me, I don't think Social Security is quite out of the woods just yet. Yeah.
And I have to mention, there's a lot of people who are on Social Security and things like that. But there's a lot of the red states, if they would be absolutely
decimated.
Yeah, if they took away Medicaid and Social Security because of what is going on in those states, where those states don't provide enough jobs and income and stability in them, and they have to rely on that income. That's the reason why they a lot of them are on disability, which is another form of Social Security.
Yeah. But that's why I'm worried about that Queen of Swords, because let's not forget, with these people, the cruelty is the point. And the Sword Suite, the King and Queen, their shadow side, they are known as cruel cards. It can be very clinical, it can be very cruel. That's why I'm a bit worried. And that sharp sword can also talk about cuts, maybe not directly to Social Security, but let's not forget that of course the Medicaid is still technically, you know, on the chopping board. And I think these people, we're dealing with psychopaths here, so yeah, I think it's secure for now, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, what they do with Medicaid is they'll start denying people's tests. So say you have to go in, there's something wrong with your chest and you need an x-ray, and with what they do is they cut that and say, nope, we're not going to pay for the x-ray. You have to pay for the x-ray. And they just start cutting vital services that need to be taken care of. Now, if you just go to the doctor for a cold, yeah, they'll pay for that. But anything beyond that, they start just chopping it.
I'm sorry, I don't understand why Americans tolerate this health system.
I don't either.
It's so horrendous, absolutely horrendous.
Yeah. You see that Queen of Swords, that's why I'm a little bit like, this can be very slicey. All right, now we've got a question coming. Now, we've not had a question like this before, and I think it's a great question. There's still one card pulling it, and then we can squeeze another one in. And this has come in from Spirit Readings. And they say, will Al Gore run for president in 2028? Remember him? Yeah. Will Al Gore run for president in 2028? He has been showing interest in a few recent TV interviews. So let's see. Will Al Gore run for president in 2028? Wow, that'd be fascinating, wouldn't it?
Well, I wouldn't put it in the fascinating category, Hoax. No. Not that interesting.
Yeah, but Lena, it would be his second chance. He got diddled the first time, remember? If we think of in terms of an election,
because the Dems were so decent and close count, we'll just give it away, you know, like, oh God.
I mean,
but he's a decent man.
He is, but imagine though, if that interference hadn't happened and Al Gore had won, that would be a very different world. Very different world. Let me just see. Al Gore. Okay. After 3. Are we all ready?
It's a one card. Sorry.
Yeah, one carder. We know the one cards can speak so much anyway.
Totally. Okay, I'm ready.
After 3. 1, 2, 3. Ooh.
Oh.
Okay, Lena, how do you interpret your card?
Not a film I've ever seen in film noir, but it's just called Tension. So it would suggest to me that he does at a stage where it causes tension. There might be another front runner, and then he goes, what about me? What about me? You know.
Ooh. Intriguing. Sheila, how do you interpret your card?
I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think American people will appreciate all that. I mean, my card speaks for itself.
The image
just says,
is hilarious.
There's never a card you want to see if you're watching one of these channels to see what the psychics are coming up.
Am I going to run for president?
Probably not.
Darling, Lady G, how do you interpret your card?
Well, a lot of push and pull with it. So it's back and forth, but I think it's too much of a struggle for him.
Yeah. And here I get the Ace of Wands. I think he may give it a go. He might have a crack at it, because he's probably looking at Duck L'Orange and just thinking, well, the world has gone completely crazy. I may as well try again. So it could be that he tries again, and then everyone's like, who's Al Gore? You know, it could be that. But I hope he gives it a try.
That was what, 25 years ago or something?
Yeah, that was Bush, the second Bush.
A lot of people won't even remember. There's many people born who would have no idea who he is, which is quite scary, isn't it? Right. Let's squeeze in another one. We're on good form tonight.
I just still...
Do you know what?
Never mind. Go ahead.
Okay. So I think let's finish on a full card pull, because this is quite a complex one, and I think it merits that. And we've only done one other full card pull tonight. So this is coming from Jerry, who is a loyal Canadian, and congratulations, Jerry, on the election. So she says here, second question, sorry. She says, on Monday, while Canadians were voting to uphold democracy, the felon signed an executive order instructing his minions to formulate a plan to use national security assets and military to enforce state and federal law, essentially creating a police state. Do the cards show if this will actually come to fruition? So that's quite a complex one. I think it merits a full card.
Strip it down for us, please. The executive order said what?
So basically, she said, while the election was happening, Trump signed an executive order which instructed people to formulate a plan to use national security assets and military to enforce state federal law. So he's upped the ante enforcement of state law. Like, think of things like with the declaring martial law, for example. So essentially creating a police state. Do the cards show if this will actually come to fruition? So will Trump impose a police state effectively? And I want to see what comes out in you guys' cards.
Laurie B says, yes, in the states which comply, there is great resistance already in play.
Ah, interesting. And while everyone's pulling, let me just 1 second, I'll select my cards and say some thank yous. Let's see here, and I just want to say some. So thank you so much, Joanne Marie. Oh, actually, I think I've clicked on that already. Oh, we've got Rosalind. Thank you, she says here. Thank you for your donation. Thank you for your good humor about such serious matters of human cruelty and perpetuated by Trump. And I'm glad we can give you guys some laughs in these rather weird, extraordinary times. Thank you so much, Teresa. Appreciate all of you, she says. And Rose Blue, tarot readers all have a hanging chad. I don't know what that means, but thank you for your donation. Right, let's take a look. Who is ready to go first on this question?
I can.
Go for it, Lena.
So, I love this comment here. A viewer says, well, not in Tennessee. These people can't find their teeth.
Yes.
Okay. Now, will he or won't he? And it's a big question. And from day one, we've all gone, oh, my God, is he going to go there? So, you know, we have to keep that in mind because he'd love to do it. The question is, will he get away with it?
Yeah.
So the first card is the 10 of Pentacles, which is intergenerational, in this case, values. I don't think the American people would be that happy with such a turn. He does have, at this point, the power to just go for it with this victory card. He's, in this case, sending the boats out, not waiting for them to come in so much, but sending the boats out, how people react to this by making it state and not national. There's conflict behind the scenes for obvious reasons, this Five of Wands. I think it'll be attractive in some places because, you know, the rusted-on MAGA cult would love a reason to clean their guns and join militias and carry on, you know. So it'll have a superficial moment in the sun. But then the Tower, it would actually, I think, preempt the end of his presidency. It would be that dramatic.
Wow.
You know, it goes all the way.
Fascinating. Sheila, how do you interpret your cards in the dying moments of the show?
I got the Seven of Cups. Again, I think this is just another tennis ball being thrown out for the dogs to chase.
Yeah.
Because I got chaos behind it. Like its only job is to create chaos and mental crap within the people. Because I got the Seven of Wands, the fighting of it, and then I got the arrogance. The arrogance behind it. And then my next card tells me again, I got the Death, and then I got the delay in the time, the end of it. And then my last cards was the Magician in isolation and rejection. So I just kind of, again, this is just a tennis ball being thrown out for the dogs to go chase it because he has a problem. He wore a blue suit to the Pope's funeral.
Yeah.
He has a problem there. He has a problem with Pete Hegseth, drinking and tweeting stuff. So he has problems. So it's another tennis ball for everybody to go chase.
And that was the same as energy as this card, just seeing what people do in reaction.
Lady G, how do you interpret your card?
Well, what's driving it is his toxicity, of course. What he wants to do to be able to control everything. But the reading is about what's new, what he's trying to birth here, what he's trying to bring in. The energy coming into it is the government. And, you know, usually this is the card of protection, but not in this case. You can see him going by the dark of the night, you know, clubs in hand. So what we have right now is for the long term, and they are looking at what's there, the takeaway of this. Sometimes this is the card of the theft, but it's also the card of looking at things in the takeaway. What can you carry? What do you need to leave behind, etc. The challenge is when it comes to the community and the message about the action. And the outcome is the swords are falling, and that will come to an end. As much as he would love to, it's not going to happen.
Fascinating. So interesting there in terms of what comes out. And here Rose Blue is saying his polls are in the sewer. Yeah, indeed they are. I think, and this was something else that was mentioned in The Guardian, he has the lowest approval rating in history for any president on his first 100 days. But let's not forget, there's a lot of nutbags out there that are still kind of backing this guy. It's interesting what my cards have come out with in terms of this. Straight away, I get the Ace of Pentacles. So there is a financial element here. Yeah. Maybe there's been some kind of contracts and stuff like that has been signed with individual states or senators and governors or something. But there is definitely an element of money here. I think someone or people that implement this, they're going to make some money. Or it's going to be like, you're going to be the thief of this kingdom, because I really do believe that Trump is not only a neo-imperialist, he's also a neo-feudalist. So he wants to create this serfdom, but money's changing hands, definitely. If we look here, in the obstacle position, ironically, we have we've got the Page of Swords. Pages are all about messages. We often associate the Page of Swords with media. So I think this was also talk about social media as well. This can talk about younger people as well. I think there'll be a lot of pushback, a lot. There could even be a lot of sabotage, but I think the criticism is going to be very strong. If we look here, Trump may try and present this as some kind of logical argument and stuff like that, but really there's a lot of subterfuge here behind the scenes. But this could also talk about people may even want to undermine the process from within. So hopefully, you know, it doesn't happen. Now, if we look here, the last two cards are a little bit confusing, because here we have the Three of Cups, which of course is traditionally a card of celebration. But in this context, who we need to think, who would celebrate this? Who would welcome this on this kind of state by state level? And it's making me again think of the money. There are vested interests here that want to basically kind of make this happen because they're getting some kind of financial incentive, but we may not know what those motivations are yet. However, the outcome card is the Fool card. So this would be obviously something pioneering, something new. But again, this card, we can interpret it, especially as we're talking about Trump. This could be a supreme act of folly. Yes. It really could be something that is just so beyond the pale that even though you will have some people, I think these are like the wild kind of rusted on MAGAs, the one that are fully swept up in the cult, particularly coming next to the high priestess. Yeah, the exalt, the ecstatic of being in a cult. But ultimately, I think it's foolish. I think it's foolish.
Yeah. There's a very good comment from Jamie here. The money card could refer to the threat to withhold federal funds from states that don't comply with the madness. And that would also explain this. I think that's absolutely
yeah.
what they do.
Oh, of course. Of course. That's just the kind of thing Duck Larange would do.
Yes, yeah. But, you know, California and Colorado could run on there. If we don't send any money into the Federal Reserves,
yeah, totally.
Keep all of our money, we can take care of ourselves. Same with Colorado's GDP and also California's GDP. So that's the one thing that he is gambling on again. Again. So I don't know.
Could that be that aspect then of celebration? Could it be that the retaliation could come on that state level, where there's a tit for tat in a way, and maybe the wealthier states just go, screw you, dude. We're going to have our own party. We're going to do our own thing. And we will what? Take a leap of faith and go it alone. Could it be that?
Out the red states, because the red states take money while the blue states, most of them, are giving money. So when we hold on to our own money, the red states will then bleed severely because either Trump and his cronies will give more money from, like, well, I don't know where they're going to get it from, but if the blue states don't pay in, the red states suffer. And there's just the whole, I think this is the chaos. This is the I don't think it's ever, how do you work that out is I'll never know.
And Gavin Newsom said exactly that during the week very well. He said, we are a donor state. And he gave the figures, and he said Texas, and I'm glad he went for that example, because Texas prides itself. You know, the smaller red states wouldn't sort of get it, you know, but he said Texas is a taker state and had the figures. You know.
And Texas cannot literally, so financially, what is it? Financially, not insecure. They're financially, when you're bad at money, what is it called?
Yeah.
When you're financially bad at what they're doing.
You can say spendthrift or they waste money. I know what you mean.
Yeah,
my mind's
I know. It's
blank.
like words were on I'm on live. I can't remember my words. So they would waste their money, even if they could somehow pull off a self-supporting system. They would waste their money. They don't. They're financially challenged, as somebody says.
Yeah, yeah.
They lose money so much. They don't know how to deal.
Indeed. So could it be, isn't that interesting? And thanks so much for that feedback, because we were thinking about what Trump would impose, maybe in terms of like things like martial law. But I think what's actually emerged is that it would be seen as such an overreach. We may actually have the donor states, because this is a card of big money, big wealth. They might actually just decide to withhold the cash. And that's why I was a bit confused, because I'm like, this is a big card. This, of course, is the messaging. This could be your Gavin Newsoms or your governors stepping up, being like, no, dude, we're not complying. The plans could actually, the contingency plans might be more developed than we realize, because this is the card of hidden plans, agendas, because why else would there be a celebration card here? That's why I was confused. And then taking this leap of faith.
Yeah.
It could well be that Trump, the folly of it,
to that
he
point.
pushes the wealthy states, and they just go, screw you, dude, and they give the one-fingered salute, and then wow. Oh, well.
The word I was looking for is financially irresponsible.
Yeah.
There we
This
are.
is very financially irresponsible. So
Indeed. Well, the time has gone in a flash, folks. So we are well over the hour. Thank you so much for joining us all. Thank you so much for your contributions, your donations, and sharing and liking and subscribing. 2,530 of you here right now. So we really do appreciate that. Please, of course, be sure to like and subscribe. Remember, subscription is free. It's free. To help this video. Indeed, thanks for all the comments to reach a wider audience. So we will leave it there. We will be back with you next week. And who knows where we'll be by next week. But big love to everyone. I'm glad we've been able to give you a little bit of a laugh here and there in these extraordinary times. Yeah. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.
Ciao.